If you've made it to Thanksgiving week and you're still practicing, well, then you've had a successful year. But the quarterfinal round determines whether a season is successful or memorable.
You fight for your life tonight, you understand? You fight for your life, you play for everything you got.
We've got several local teams still alive. But tonight, a few of them meet head-to-head. Central and Zachary. Ascension Catholic, Catholic Appoint Compete.
Hey, I want to see some heads roll here. Go light somebody up.
Madison Prep and U-High. We've got the highlights from those games and many more on a quarterfinal edition of Sportsline Friday Night. Without any further ado, here we go.
Welcome to Sportsline Friday Night. I'm Kevin Baptiste. Sports Director Jack Ducey is on the road with LSU as they get ready to take on Oklahoma tomorrow. John Eads is not here on set, but he is in the building. He's in the back tightening up his U-High Madison Prep shot sheet because that was probably the best game of the night. He will be with me in the next block. So we're going to start off in Division I Select. Catholic High in Alexandria, they got to the Final Four last year, but tonight they played to see who would get to the Final Four in their class. And Catholic High's defense kept them in it early. Ash inside the red zone. Carson Sellers takes a shot to the end zone, but that pass is intercepted by Pearson Carmouche. So second quarter, Ash got a turnover in Bears territory. That turns into a field goal. The Trojans had another goal-to-goal situation, but the Bears defense continues to stand strong. On this second and goal, Maxwell Maurer gets into the backfield for the TFL. That led to another Ash field goal. Bears down 6-0, but head coach Hudson Fuller loving what he is seeing. Third quarter, they're down 6-3. Offense need to get something going. Turner Goldsmith drops a beauty to Jude Chamberlain for a long gain. He'll get up and flick, young man. That sets up a first and goal. And on the next play, Jaden Miles in the Wildcat takes the direct snap and gets into the end zone for the touchdown. 10-6, Bears get their first lead of the game. First play of the next drive. Ash trying to respond. Sellers throws underneath to Jakyron Griffin. Griffin tries to pick up more yards, but he gets stripped by Harrison Kader. Liam Myers jumps on it, and just like that, the Bears offense is going to set up shop in the red zone. You see what happens when you get complimentary football. And then a few plays later, third and goal. Goldsmith fakes to Justin Baptiste, no relation. Baptiste leaks out and is wide open for the touchdown reception. 16-6 after the mixed extra point. And Catholic High, they got it going on, folks. We're still in the third quarter. Trojans trying to respond. Sellers throws the screen, but Kader flies in, reads it like a hawk. He gets the interception. That led to a Goldsmith to Miles touchdown pass, 23-6. Catholic High's defense forced a punt. Offense got it back and drove to the goal line. And on the last play of the third quarter, Miles scores his third touchdown of the game, 30-6. Catholic puts up a 27-point third quarter. And this kid coming up is going to say, I guess I got my swagger back. That does fit the bill for the Bears as they go on to win 44-6. After starting off the game, trailing 6-0, they end the game scoring 44 unanswered points. So, yeah, statement by Hudson Fuller and company. They will play the winner of Evangel and Edna Karr. Edna Karr, the top seed in Division I Select, and went in on a 24-game win streak. First quarter, the Eagles in their own red zone, and they run a toss sweep in their own end zone. I don't know who's the wise guy who called that, but that wasn't smart. That led to a safety as the Cougars jump in front 2-0. On the ensuing kickoff, you know the rule, either a big play or a boo-boo. This is a big play. Gregory Wilfred fields it, and he is gone. House call, his fourth kick return touchdown of the year as Karr increases their lead 9-0. Cougars offense gets it back in the red zone. This time they hand to Trey Garrison. He cuts it left and finds plenty of room for the touchdown, 15-0. Karr offense gets it back. They get back into the goal line again. Garrison again gets by two defenders for the touchdown, 22-0. But Evangel, they are historically a state championship program too. They're trying to get back into it. They trail by a lot in the first quarter. On the ensuing kickoff, Demarius Evans takes it to his right, spins out of it, cuts back to his left, and he is going for a house call of his own, 88 yards. That cuts the lead to 16, but Edna Karr, they are just too much of a machine, folks. I talked to St. Aug head coach Robert Valdez the other day. He calls them Karr University. They just have so many guys who are going to be playing college football, and you see it in these highlights. They go on to defeat Evangel by a lot. As we look at the final score, 49-20, 25th straight win for Edna Karr. So it will be Cougars against Catholic High in the semifinals once again. These two teams played in the semifinals last year in New Orleans, and Karr won that game by 2 points. This one should be another barn burner. On the other side, St. Aug, they defeat Archbishop Rummel, and John Curtis, they go to Turlinks and pull the upset with a win. All right, we are just getting started on Sportsline Friday Night. Next up, John Eads should be out here with me for those incredible U-High Madison Prep highlights. Y'all stay right there. Welcome back to Sportsline. I told y'all John Eads would join me on set, and here he is. So, John, the first time that U-High and Madison Prep played this season, that was also a barn burner, more of like a defensive barn burner.
Yeah.
This one was more on the other side.
More offense in this one, more explosive plays. The first one was 14-8 over at Jeff Boss Field. There were some turnovers in there, some things that both teams probably could have done better, so let's see what adjustments were made. U-High running out some nice pyrotechnics here. They bring out the sparklers, fireworks, and we had a lot of fireworks in this game. Coach Landry Williams on the other side bringing his Chargers in. This was the district championship in the regular season, and some offense here to start the game. Landon Johnson bouncing it outside inside the 5, diving in for the score. So it's 8-0 Madison Prep after a 2-point conversion. Dylan Reed throwing here later in the first quarter, tipped and intercepted. Here comes DJ Coleman right into your living room, hoping to get some of those Thanksgiving leftovers maybe in your fridge. Pushed out of bounds at the 1, so we'll go to the second quarter. Same drive. Could the Cubs pay off the takeaway? Ethan McGlynn cuts inside. Ball's on the ground. It's loose. Who comes up with it? I see a lot more black jerseys than white jerseys. There'd be a scrum for it. The officials would discuss for what felt like 2 minutes. Eventually, we get the final ruling. It is indeed a touchdown, and the Cubs take the lead. Maybe not in a pretty way, but they do nonetheless. 12-8. But the Chargers have an answer. This is Harlem Turner. Kind of looking like Harlem Berry.
I thought you was about to say Harlem Berry for a minute.
I didn't make that mistake. Running like him, though. He goes all the way for the touchdown, 16-12. Madison Prep back in front. But U-High's got some running backs that can run the football well as well. This is Sage Ingram getting outside. I don't even know if he was touched on that play. He scores 19-16, then 22-16. U-High leading at the half after a late field goal. To the second half, back to Harlem. Turner into the second level. Emmanuel Moses with the touchdown-saving tackle, but then John Profit takes the handoff. Little whoop, whoop, see ya. Runs away from the secondary, and he is in. Madison Prep back in front. A little back-and-forth affair here. Much more offense than the first game. 24-22. Coach Williams fired up about it. The Chargers on offense, down 25-24. Moses lays a big lick, and then he teams up with one of his teammates to rip the ball free. Lorenzo Cooper eventually scoops it up, and he had the pick six in the first matchup that kind of changed the momentum of the game. He makes momentum swing and play there, grabbing the loose ball, and then it's Ingram paying off the turnover with another touchdown, laying out, getting over the goal line for the score, 32-24 at that point. So Madison Prep had the momentum. It seemed like they were poised to build on their lead, but instead, the Cubs do just that. But on 4th and short, Reed fakes out everybody. The entire game he was handing off to Profit, he was handing off to Turner. This time he keeps it. Nobody accounted for him or touched him until he was in the end zone. So 32-30. The Chargers now need the 2-point conversion to tie. Reed's pass deflected. James Upton in the way, telegraphed it, so it's still 32-30. Now 4th and short, about 5 minutes to go. The Cubs trying to ice the game with a first down, but on 4th and short, Ryan Verreest stops Ingram, gets the ball back to the Chargers offense, and now here we go. About a minute left in the game. This is a second down play. Reed drops back, steps up, falls out. Lamar Brown jars it loose. It's recovered by Bradley Goodson. Madison Prep is out of timeouts. There's not enough time left on the clock, and that would do it. U-High wins for the second time against Madison Prep, this time in the postseason. 32-30 the final score. The Cubs headed back to the semifinals for a rematch with St. Charles Catholic. You were at that game 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was a real barn burner, and this one probably will be another barn burner. But back to U-High Madison Prep, that's what playoff football is all about. Those two teams never disappoint, always going to put on a good show, and love to get those highlights. All right, Sportsline Friday Night just getting started. We're back after this. Welcome back to Sportsline Division II non-select. Plaquemine against Cecilia. Cecilia defeated Plaquemine last year in the semifinals in Plaquemine. Now same setting. Let's see if Plaquemine can get revenge. First quarter, Brendan Miles goes underneath to Tyron Henderson for the first down. And then a few plays later, instead of passing it, they're going to do a little inside handoff. Spencer Collins Jr. finds the lane and he gets to the end zone for the touchdown. 7-0. Green Devils get on the board first. Cecilia, they're going to try to do some running of their own as their quarterback. Colin Dorr is going to run the handoff to Braylon Colley, but that is taken down by Dalen Jenkins. No gain for the Bulldogs. That's going to lead to a punt, and Plaquemine's offense is going to get right back to it. And they get right back to that inside handoff to Spencer Collins Jr. using his legs, his speed, powering his way to the end zone. 14-0. Green Devils up by 2 scores. Cecilia, they're going to try to match with their run game again. Is going to be another toss play to DeAndre Briscoe, but once again, Plaquemine, they are ready for it. No gain, and they're going to get it back to their offense. As the Plaquemine fans, they were really hyped. Second quarter now, Plaquemine inside the red zone, and Spencer Collins gets in for his 3rd touchdown of the game. That's number 3.
That's how you run the toss right there.
Yeah, 3rd TD for number 3, and then the handshake. 20-0. Cecilia, this time they're going to try a little throw. Dorr is going to be intercepted by Rustin Grace in the end zone. That's going to be a touchdown. Touchback. Didn't have myself a touchback.
Would have been if he was in a white jersey.
Right.
Because he ran a good route.
Exactly. Well, Plaquemine's offense getting back to it after celebration. And they're going to get back to that ground game, as it's going to be Spencer Collins Jr. for his 4th touchdown of the game. 26-0 Plaquemine at the half. And John, the Green Devils get their revenge, 48-27. No telling what the message was from Donald Williams and company leading up to this.
Well, I watched some of our footage from last week. He was giving the guys a little pep talk, and I'll tell you what, it's like he was about to go play and strap it up. Man, he was fired up, and I'm sure that they remembered that game. They didn't need any extra motivation in this one, and ball didn't lie this time around.
No.
They're headed back to the semis for the 2nd straight year.
Yep, they're going to go up north.
Goodbye.
They're going to face North DeSoto, who defeated Franklinton in a real shootout. 51-37, I think, was the final in that score. And we see down low, 2 of our local teams lost, as Lutcher lost to Iowa, and Belle Chase defeated West Bell. We will have those highlights for you later in the show. And yeah, more Sportsline coming up after this. We're just getting started.
So we had 3 local versus local matchups tonight. Here's the third out in New Roads. Of course, we're going to show you Central and Zachary still as well. Ascension Catholic of Plaquemine. Ooh, nice little fireworks show there. 2 of the best schools at the 1A level. Jude Morrison throws here, passes tipped. Edwin Williams, look what I found. Catch and run all the way in for the score. 6-0 Hornets. Ascension Catholic on offense in plus territory. The handoff to Trevin Simon, former Sportsline Player of the Week, and we're going to say his name a lot in the next 2 minutes or so. He's in. So 7-6, Bulldogs in front. Morrison keeping the ball here, pops it loose, and pops it into the end zone. Plaquemine back in front. Here's the 2-point conversion. Cohen Higginbotham twirling in for it. 14-7, Catholic of Plaquemine. Fernandez, another handoff. There goes Simon. Simon says touchdown. That's his second. Ties the game at 14-0. But both of these offenses have a lot of firepower. The pitch to DeMichael Hart. Couldn't quite get there. Does get the first down, though. And then it's not the tush push, but it's a QB sneak, and it works. Some teams don't want to do that for some reason inside the 2. Plaquemine does. Here's the 2-point conversion. Micah Nipple weaves by a tackler and saunters in. 22-14. Ascension Catholic now. Their turn to respond. I think that was a direct snap to Simon. Loops it around the outside, and nobody wants any smoke inside the 5. He takes it in. 22-21. Hornets still in front. A little bit of a squib kick here. Hart on the return. Well blocked. Special teams coach is going to love that. Jukes the kicker out of his shoes, and nobody's going to catch him. He takes it all the way down the sideline, and Plaquemine gets a special teams touchdown, 28-21. Greg Fernandez, under center, handoff. The big fella, rumbling in. Can he get there? Getting a push. This is what I love about football here. When the officials let the play continue, they do. Eventually, I'm not sure who scored that touchdown. We're just going to give it to the entire team because everybody was pitching in on that one.
Safe way right there, John. Safe way.
Yeah. Touchdown Bulldogs. There's a touchdown for Morrison. Here's the 2-point conversion. Hart, can he get there? Yes, he can. He falls forward over the white line. So let's go to the fourth quarter. It's 50-42. Ascension Catholic is in front. Catholic of Plaquemine with the ball. About 3 minutes to go. Morrison fumbles on the exchange, and it's recovered by Vaughn Blanchard, and it looked like it was inside the 10-yard line. And from there, the Bulldogs would pick up first downs, keep the chains moving, run the clock. Here goes Simon, moving outside, and that would do it. 50-42, your final score. Unfortunately, a great season had to come to an end for one of these teams. Taylor James, though, the winning head coach.
You got to say it, you got another problem. It's our kids really just decided that no matter what, they're not going to allow the guy next to them to fail, and they just refuse to lose right there. They found a way to win the game. Oh, man, I don't know how to count them, man. Great plays right there down the stretch on defense in the fourth quarter. Some big-time runs, some big-time blocks up front by our guys. Man, it's hard to single one guy out because at the end of the day, man, it's not a name that goes on to the next round of the bracket. It's the team, right? And Ascension Catholic moved on.
I'll tell you, man, Ascension Catholic, man, they've been on the cusp for, years after years. And, man, can this finally be the year that they break through?
Could be. Lowell Narcisse was the head coach last year. They made the semifinals. Taylor James takes over as the head coach this year. Right back in the semifinals. Doesn't matter who's coaching this team.
Doesn't matter. All right, let's switch to Division 4, 9 select. North Riverside in the quarterfinals for the first time ever went down to South Plaquemine. They could not pull off the upset against the reigning state champions, 27-12 in the loss. Congrats to North Riverside and Coach Josh Jackson on a good season. We're not done. Continue to watch us on WBXH. Here's the list where you can find us. And you can also watch online WAFB Plus and our YouTube page. We got more highlights in this quarterfinal edition of Sportsline Friday Night.
Welcome back to Sportsline Friday Night with Kevin Baptiste. I'm John Eads. Thanks so much for tuning in for a quarterfinal edition of Sportsline Friday Night. We had 3 Baton Rouge versus Baton Rouge battles tonight. We've already covered 2, Madison Prep U-High, and we just showed you Ascension Catholic and Catholic of Point Capee. Also had Zachary and Central, which was an instant classic in the regular season.
Yeah, Zachary and Central, 35-33 was the final, and that one Central won it. Like you said, U-High and Madison Prep, that was a close game tonight, but I heard these Zachary Central highlights might be up to par. So let's see how we did. District foes going up against each other, championship programs going up against each other. Wildcats would strike first as Brody Deal is going to fake and find Tristan Rose down the sideline for the game, and that's going to lead to a direct snap to Marvin Joseph, who finds his lane, gets to the outside, and gets into the end zone for the touchdown, 7-0 Wildcats. Central will get the ball back. Their quarterback, reigning Sportsline Player of the Week, Max Gassett, finds Keithan Womack, who breaks some tackles and gets into the end zone for the touchdown. So 14-0. How about that? Central trying to make a statement earlier to the Brew Crew, but the Brew Crew is not happening. Second quarter, here they go as Jeremy Patton takes the handoff for the touchdown. That tied it up at 14. So tied up at 14 all. Central back up at it. Tristan Rose gets the handoff. He's finding his way to the end zone. Can he get there? Oh, he's going to be tripped up inside the 10, but that sets the offense up in good field position. Joseph, again, another direct snap again, and touchdown again. Central back in front, 21-14. That was the score at halftime. Third quarter, Zachary puts together a drive. Michael Kirby drops the snap, picks it up, dives over the power for the touchdown. That ties it up again at 21-all. Fourth quarter, Broncos up 24-21 after a field goal. Kirby throws, but he is picked off by Brody Deal, and Deal has a deal for a pick 6 as that puts the Wildcats back in front 27-24. So let's see if Zachary can respond. Kirby rolls to his right, throws, got a man. Ethan Kimmy gets knocked out of bounds, but not before a first down, and that's going to lead to Kirby. Read option on number, gets his way in for the touchdown, and that ends up being the game winner with 11 seconds left. Zachary goes on the road 31-27 to punch their ticket to the semifinals, and they will play, is it Ruston? Yes. Yeah. These two teams played in the semifinals a few years ago.
They played last year, too.
Last year,
I think Ruston booted them out in like the second round or something.
Well, look at that. Even more reason for the Brew Crew to get revenge.
2 good programs. They're always going to find their way against each other in the postseason. Got Dunham on the road at Isidore Newman. The Greenies hosting here. Nice defensive play. Jake Randall stood up on the 4th and 1, and that would lead to a Trevor Heyman touchdown. And that's how you win games in the postseason. Turnovers, which you turn into touchdowns. Here's Elijah Haven, the 5-star and the keeper. Moves the sticks for a first down. Same drive here, 4th and 2. Haven keeping it again and moving the chains again. Inside the 5. Haven showing off the arm. A few plays later, spiral. Caught by Chris Thomas. Touchdown.
I hear the cheers in the back.
I hear the cheers in the back. Shout out to Courtney, her son Chris Thomas with the touchdown there. And then Will Pinkerton would add a field goal. So 14-3. Dunham back on offense, and they got a response. Typically do with Haven at quarterback. It's Jarvis Washington getting behind the defense. A 27-yard connection, and it's 20-3. On the ensuing kickoff, let's see what happens here, Kevin.
Uh-oh.
Greenies returning.
Uh-oh.
Switching fields, breaking a tackle. This is Hendricks Hill. And he's gone. Takes it all the way. A 90-yard kick return touchdown. That gets the Greenies some momentum back. So 20-9. But Dunham just stomps all over that momentum like a little bug on the sidewalk. Haven keeps the play alive. Freelancing. Finds a man in the back of the end zone. Jerron Harris going airborne to make the snag. 27-9. 4th and goal here at the Dunham 5-yard line. Nice trick play. Randall finding Collier Villiers in the back of the end zone. So 27-16 at that point, but not enough to take down Dunham. The Tigers continue their march back to the Dome after finishing as the state runner-up last year. They got state championship on their mind, and that dream still alive. 48-22, the final score, and now Dunham will go on the road to play LCA. I think these two played in the postseason last year as well, right?
Dunham had that wild fourth quarter comeback. I wonder if they wanted to face Catholic New Iberia because that's who beat them in state last year, but they're still alive. And if you're still playing, that's all that matters. All right, let's go down to Division 4 Select. Riverside, they were hosting Washita Christian. First possession of the game, the Eagles Luke Vidrin drops back and launches deep to Maddox Fitzhugh for a long touchdown. That's a nice pitching catch right there, guys. 7-0 Eagles to start the ball game. Second quarter, Rebels only down 7-3, looking to match. Brock Bourgeois takes a snap, finds his guy. That's Chris Becknell, who goes upfield all the way near the goal line. Doesn't get a touchdown, but sets up his offense. Nice. Here comes the touchdown. That's going to be Jaden Obwikwe taking a direct snap and finding his way to put Riverside in front. Next possession for the Rebels, looking to score once more. Obwikwe gets the carry,
nice
finds a
ball.
lane, knocked out of bounds, but that still moves the chains for another first down. Thinking the money though. A few plays later, Obwikwe takes a direct snap, and this time he gets inside the end zone for the touchdown. 17-7 Riverside, 2-score lead. The Eagles trying to cut into the lead before the half, and things are just going to go from bad to worse as Vidrin drops back. His pass is intercepted by Kenrick Johnson. Johnson has a convoy.
Guess what his nickname is, Kevin?
Showtime.
Boogie.
I'll take it.
He's still up. He's still alive.
I'll do it for him. Boogie!
Yeah.
Pick 6. Riverside goes on to win 38-14. They move on to the next round. Who they got in the next round? They will face Ascension Episcopal. I know Riverside, they're also hungry. They lost in the quarterfinals last year, and then 2 years ago when they lost to Southern Lab in state. So I know they are eager and hungry to get back to the Dome.
Lee Roussel and company, typically a Dome team. Looks like they're potentially headed back there this season. So is St. James hosting Oak Grove tonight. The Wildcats were certainly ferocious this evening. James Rose with the stop there as Oak Grove tried to run it. Then they would try to pass. Rolling out here, DeMonte Lamar in the backfield for the sack. And the offense operating under the direction of the youngster, Juwan Johnson. Takes the snap, drops back, 3-step drop. Come on, Mitchell, he's out there. Gets his hands under it, breaks a tackle, and he goes all the way for the touchdown. Look at his teammate trying to work with the ref there. He got in. He's getting the touchdown. He's not short. 2-minute drill here. Johnson moves the sticks, calling his own number on the run there. And then he'll dump it off in the flat. Rakee Lee, look at him. Weaving, spinning. Picks up a nice gain before the clock expires. Now 15 seconds left. Johnson going to drop it off to Jaden Villanova. And look at this. I see a lot of yellow jerseys, and they don't look very nice.
Oh, the stiff arm.
Stiff arm. Spin move. Can he get out of bounds? Can he get to the end zone? Finally, suplex.
Little pile drive right
So
there.
a flag gets thrown. That stops the clock. So then the Wildcats move it to near the goal line. And they'll have a chance to score here. The handoff to Villanova. He's in. Touchdown, St. James. Nice way to end the first half and a nice way to end the second half, too. 57-13 is the final score. They're marching their way back to the Dome where they lost last year to Sterlington in the state championship game. Very competitive matchup, and I'm sure that's going to be an instant clash. I love these teams meeting each other in the semis.
We talk about hungry teams. I don't think there's anyone more hungry than St. James. They get to the Dome last 2 years and lose in heartbreaking fashion. Levanta Davis and company, third time might be the charm. Sportsline Friday Night coming back after this.
A Division III select matchup between Sumner and Calvary Baptist. Very cold night, but awesome. It looks like out in Kentwood. All these schools bringing the fireworks out for the playoffs, man. I love it. It's a good view. Defensive battle to start off. Zarian Mills runs for about 20 yards. He's caught up in a swarm of Cowboy defenders. Jamone Dyson snatches the ball away. So Sumner would get possession. Guess they did nothing with it. So Calvary back on offense. Braylon Huglin with the catch for the first down in the red zone. And then 2 plays later, Hudson Price dumps it into the flat. Here's Mills. Not getting caught up by the Cowboys this time. Into the end zone for the touchdown, 7-0. The visiting Cavaliers in front. Sumner forced the punt. Let's see what happens on this special teams play. Luke Miller catches it off the bounce, runs through some red jerseys, and eventually is pushed out of bounds, but gets some good field position for Calvary. And then a few plays later, it's Mills once again, lowering his head, fighting through a couple tackles. That's a very physical first down. Calvary continues pushing the ball down the field. Price finds Huglin, another first down in the red zone, kind of rinse and repeat from what we saw earlier. And then Price fakes everybody out. The Sumner defense, Abe Barton, our cameraman, working hard to get these highlights. He scores, so 14-0 Calvary. Sumner on offense. A rare pass. Dyson breaking tackles.
I know, right?
That's a nice game. That's up, Abe. There we go. Move the sticks. That drive would end just short of the goal line, and the final score of this game would end up being 14-7. So it was a defensive battle to start, defensive battle at the end. Calvary doing its work early in the first half and holding off Sumner in the second half. Tough time to lose your first game of the year.
Yeah, always tough. Now, you got that undefeated season. You get that added pressure of having to go perfect, and then whenever it happens, it just really hits you. But congratulations to Sumner on a good season. Let's go to Division II select. The top seed, St. Charles Catholic. They took on Edie White, a matchup of not really real flashy teams, but real fundamentally sound teams. Early on, St. Charles Catholic had it going. Landry LeBlanc throws it to Skylar Edwards, who gets the first down and takes some people with him. And then later they get down to the goal line, and LeBlanc is going to keep it for a quarterback sneak that puts the Comets on the board first, 7-0.
There's that horn.
The second quarter, man, that horn, man, it's loud. Later, after their defense gets a stop, offense back at it. LeBlanc completes the pass for a first down. That leads to a Tyler Miliotto field goal. He's a weapon. Nice. I remember he hit that winner against U-High a few years ago.
Oh.
And then in the fourth quarter, offense back at it. LeBlanc hits Walker LeBlanc. Huge gain, more gain, trying to throw off a guy, but still, big pickup, first down. And this time, they're going to run the football, the pitch to Skylar Edwards. Tries to beat the guy, and he ends up winning that battle, 17-0 after the touchdown. Edie White, like I said, they are really a running football team. Now they're kind of forced to pass. Will it work for them? It looks like it does not. That pass is intercepted by Preston Cambry, and Cambry has reservations for 6. That is going to be another pick 6. We have a lot of those in this show today, John. Seems like it.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers, some defensive touchdowns. Those are killer in the postseason.
Yeah. And don't tell me they're going to try to throw again. McNair rolls, throws again, intercepted. Is that Cambry again?
I think it looks like it.
That's Cambry.
Yeah.
And he's going to have another pick 6. So how about that? The game of his life in the quarterfinals. 2 pick 6s in one game. All right, 31-0. St. Charles Catholic gets the win. As we mentioned earlier, they will move on and they will face U-High. These two teams met in the semifinals in LaPlace a few years ago. St. Charles Catholic won on a walk-off field goal in overtime, and I expect this one to be another goal.
Yeah, dominant effort there. All right, let's take you to Mangham. Awesome scene there, light show. Christmas tree in the background.
That's real.
Tis the season.
Jesus.
The Dragons, quarterfinals for the 3rd straight year. Eastville finding their way to the quarters for the first time in a little while. The Dragons would score first. That was Colby Casey running it in for the touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion, so 8-0. Marcus Cannon, though, then finds his receiver to tie the game at 8 apiece. The Dragons not losing any steam, though, crawling their way to the 6-yard line. Then Willie Randolph runs through the Tiger defense, so 15-8. They're not done yet. Dragons 15 yards away from the end zone. They get into the end zone, courtesy of a Casey run, 21-8. Eastville trying to keep up in this, what looks to be a shootout. Javen Jackson with the reception there, so 21-16. But Casey and the Dragons with an answer. Oh, watch out for the field goal post there. Receiver gets behind the defense. That was Rayvon Bell. 28-16 then. Final score 49-16. So for Darius Matthews and company, an amazing season, getting some huge wins along the way, advancing to the quarterfinals, but coming up short against the 2 seed.
I was really hoping that them and North Louisville could pull upsets and
that would have been awesome.
Have that semifinal right here in town, man. But congrats to both of them on the good season. We wrap up Sportsline Friday night after this.
Dwayne Jenkins and the Lutcher Bulldogs going on the road, getting a big upset in the second round. Now they got to go back on the road and play 2-seed Iowa, which is always a strong team in the playoffs. Kevin, a lot of special teams highlights here we're about to show you. Here's one right here. Alex Barty returning it from his own goal line up the sideline, 90 yards for the touchdown. But here's another special teams play.
God.
This is Ashton Stark Jr. Kind of like when you go back-to-back home runs in baseball.
Yeah.
I guess we went back-to-back kickoff return touchdowns, so that's quite a way to start the game. Let's go to the midway point of the first quarter. Iowa's Lawston Broussard Jr. throws it to Caston Lewis.
Jeez.
Little stiff arm, and he is turboing away from the Bulldog defense. The touchdown there. It was 28-21. Iowa eventually running away and winning this game. So Lutcher goes on a nice run, pulling an upset, but their season comes to a close in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and they will play, well, we already showed you the bracket. But we still got to show you the highlights. Westbell, they were on the road against Belle Chase. Westbell coming off that crazy comeback win against Brewley last week. It was Belle Chase who came out on fire on first play from scrimmage. Amari Ambrose, 17-yard gain for the first down. And then stick with what works. Ambrose takes another QB keeper to the outside. 20-yard touchdown to put the Cardinals on the board 7-0. But they were far from done. Next Belle Chase drive, Ambrose back to pass. But he's going to pull it down, puts defenders on skates, gets brought down, but not before another first down pickup. A few plays later, Ambrose again keeping it on the read option, fighting his way through the line for another first down. The Cardinals will fight down to the goal line, and this time Ambrose is not going to run, he's going to share. He's going to hand off to Dylan Carter, who wins the race to the pylon for the touchdown, 14-0. Second quarter, Westbell trying to make something happen. 4th and 7. This pass is going to be short of the marker. The receiver gets stood up, and Cruz LeBlanc and Chris Moses combine for the tackle. That's going to be a turnover on downs. Ensuing possession, Carter gets the pitch, finds a crease. Ooh, nice juke, breaks loose. He's finally going to get tripped up 35 yards later. That puts them at the 13-yard line. And on the very next play, Kai Wallace takes it on the jet sweep, gets to the edge, and scores the Cardinals' third touchdown today, as this one was all Belle Chase, folks. They go on to win 39-16. As we already showed you, they will face Iowa in the next round. But a pretty good season for Terry Minor and company,
very good.
getting that thing going at Westfield.
That was his first year. Yeah, so certainly a nice foundation to build upon. So, and there we go. That's all the highlights we got, right? And I'm looking down. I got all the brackets in front of me. I'm trying to figure out where we're going to send our crews next week.
Real quick, what game are you most looking forward to next week?
Oh my gosh!
Just real quick, just one.
I don't know. St. Charles U High, 10-7, a couple years ago, right?
I would say Zachary.
Out in Laplace.
Zachary Rustin.
That was good too.
Zachary Rustin. For John East, I'm Kevin Baptiste. More high school football and more Sportsline next week. And college football tomorrow, LSU, Southern, final regular season games. But we're looking forward to who's going to be the next head coach at LSU. We're back next week.